sunset. Glacier Bay National Park. See if we can get down to this boardwalk real quick. Take a quick peek. This is early tomorrow to everything out of the room. We're going to do a cruise, and then from the cruise we go straight to the airport. Pretty busy day, but we've got great weather. I said it's unseasonably nice. A lot nicer than my last trip to Alaska. Kind of hard to catch the sunset because it's coming right at us. Also quite a few trails here by the lodge and into the park. I think we're on the park boundary here of Glacier Bay National Park. We're not going to have time to do those because we weren't able to stay more than one day due to the ferry schedules and the flight schedules. We're at the very end of the season. It's August 27th, and they're going to be closing the lodge next Tuesday, I think, day after Labor Day. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough time here. Alaska is an incredible place where you're just really always kind of chasing the light, chasing time in the short summer, the short, expensive summer, trying to get enough time to go everywhere and do everything. I was interesting, we're in a Gustavus, which I'm probably mispronouncing, and we're talking to one of the drivers who lives here year-round, and my friend said, what do you guys do in the winter? It must be pretty quiet. And he looked at us and he said, you live, which is always an interesting thing. It would probably be incredibly quiet here on the coast with everything shut down and dark and stormy and not much to do, but yes, I imagine you take some deep breaths and you just get to live to the fullest and enjoy. Get everything ready for tomorrow, and tomorrow's going to be a boat cruise in Glacier Bay National Park. Catch you later. Glacier National Park. It's about 5:30 in the morning, just taking a quick early morning walk. Just over an hour before we board this boat. Right here, it's the back view of the lodge. Stayed very quiet, very cozy. Good night's sleep. There are quite a few trails around here. I want to see what we can possibly check out very quickly. And we'll just make some noise because there are bears out here. Other than Katmai, we haven't really seen, but we were on a trail in Anchorage in a state park, and a woman and her dog had come out just as we were entering, and she said they got to a junction. They did see a large black bear. She felt growled rather aggressively at them. She did seem very shaken up. Of course, we're now in a Gustavus and not in Anchorage, but I just walk a bit and see what we can see. There's a trail. There's some of the boats, the fishing boats, I suppose. Also, halibut is a very popular fish around here, even more than salmon. When we were in Katmai, we learned that the salmon spawning season is almost over. They have all reached fresh water and they are starting to decompose. Do just a little more video. It's just a path in the woods here right by where the Glacier Bay Lodge is, which is basically a collection of about 50 or so cabins. She passed a park ranger. She might be the person who's doing our tour today. The boat tour is kind of the big attraction over here. There are some kayaking tours, fishing, things like that. And we'll leave around 7. We'll be out there for about 8 hours or so, looking for, I think it was 10 to 15 different tidewater glaciers, maybe some whales, some marine life. And we come back and we go back to Gustavus Airport and we hop on a flight to Juneau for skeleton. Well, hunting is actually illegal unless you're indigenous. It's a humpback whale who was once named Snow.
glaciers, a lot of the terms are kind of body part related. We say the face of the glacier, the mouth of the glacier, the toe of the glacier, kind of all these things kind of personifying the glacier. Today we are going to be able to get past Jaw Point on our vessel because we are on a smaller ship today, allowing us to get much closer to the face of the glacier. Now Lamplugh Glacier, it gets its name from George Lamplugh. George Lamplugh came up to Glacier Bay in 1884. This glacier is still considered a tidewater glacier, but only at high tide. Lamplugh Glacier stands at 165 feet above the water, almost 1 mile wide and 20 miles long. We like to call Lamplugh the Blue because of its incredible blue color. And Lamplugh is that glacier that we walked in front of in the start of the season. There's also a lot of the seasonal rivers hold Lamplugh Glacier in our hearts. And that photograph that was taken with the Berkey bits was taken in front of Lamplugh Glacier here. Just how large Hopkins Glacier is, 300 feet above the water, 1 mile wide, and goes back 16.4 miles. Johns Hopkins Glacier gets its name from Johns Hopkins University. As you take a look around here, you may notice that there's a lot less trees than what we saw at the start of our trip. Not too much of a dense forest here. And that all comes down to plant succession. The glaciers were covering these inlets more recently than lower portions of the bay, had more time to grow and develop these dense forests, and not as much time up here.
Covered quite a bit of territory here. You can see us at the visitor center down here is where we started. We went all the way up this way. South Marble Island is where we stopped. We saw some sea otters there moving up. We went all the way through here where it says Gloomy Knob. Just to my right, climber's right of Gloomy Knob, we did see some bears. On Gloomy Knob, we saw some mountain goats. Came all the way up here, kind of barren to my left as I shoot this. You can see Grand Pacific Glacier at the top. That is the glacier that is responsible for this valley. Beautiful stuff. And then if you go all the way left, we went down this Johns Hopkins Inlet into the Johns Hopkins Glacier where we spent some time. We're now coming back down to the Reed Glacier, which is over here. So we basically went all the way from here, all the way down to the visitor center, and that's going to be our sum total of our day. And then we're going back to the airport and flying back to Juneau.